How's it going, people? For those who are new here, my name's Aone, and for today's video, we're going to take a look at an in-depth guide on how to build in Starship Troopers Extermination. Now, for those who don't know, this is an early access 16-player PvE game based off of the 1997 movie called Starship Troopers, which was also based off of a book. It's currently on sale for $25 in the Steam store, and I've had a lot of fun playing it for the past couple of days.
Can I get some of the sex that I saw in the movie? Where's the sex part?
Come into the kiddie pool and you'll find it.
But I didn't really know what I was doing. But yesterday, I came across this really good guide, which I'll leave a link to in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself. And this guide includes a lot of useful information when it comes to building, as well as the pros and cons of using different building pieces, as well as enemy pathing. And it also goes into really good detail on the different builds you can use. So for today's video, we're going to take a look at this guide, and we actually have a lot of information to unpack here. So I will leave timestamps in the description if you'd like to jump to a specific part. Alright, so the first thing we're going to go over are the two types of defenses, and we're going to go over the pros and cons of each. The first one we're going to take a look at is the layered defenses, which is the more popular one. This is the one where you build as many layers of walls as possible, and it's mainly used for stalling the bugs. With layered defenses, losing walls are often just an inconvenience. There's also a loud indication of walls breaking, which can easily draw in the attention of other players. Sensors are also another really good way to draw the attention of other players. A massive durability pool means it can stall approaching enemies for longer. It can result in poor resource efficiency. It's significantly harder to designate a rally point, which means more ammo and health resources will need to be spread out, or people will have to travel more. It's going to be harder to maintain clean lines of sight using layered defenses, especially when walls are breached and people are forced to retreat. And the base is also going to be spread out over a much larger distance. So layered defenses are mainly used to stall the enemies. It requires less coordination between teammates. You don't get clean lines of sight with this build, but more often than not, this is the type of defense you'll see when playing Starship Troopers. The type of build you don't really see that often is the critical defense. The critical defense tends to center around a stable rally point, providing a good position for ammo and staging area to repair walls in the event of a breach. The bases tend to be much more compact, making travel much easier. There's clean visibility for line of sight, much harder to plan and coordinate with other teammates, but it also requires more care compared to the layered defenses in order to be maintained to ensure that most critical buildings are not destroyed. While having a layered defense might seem inefficient, there are certain situations where they serve their function. But that sums up the different types of defenses. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the different pieces you can build, as well as their key features and how to use them. So first we're going to start off with walls, and the wall is going to cost you 200 ore, and you can place down a total of 40 of them. They have moderate durability. You can climb them from the exterior by jumping on the slope and scaling in through the low section in the middle. And these wall pieces can also provide cover against gunner bugs because they have cover up here on the walkway at the top. Next up we have the ramp walls, which also cost 200 ore, and you can place down a total of 15 of them. This also has moderate durability. The ramp allows access to the walkway from the interior. It can also be scaled like regular walls from the exterior. The direction of the ramp is fixed, which can result in inconvenient access. Next up we have the small gate. The small gate costs 250 ore, and you can place down a total of 8 of them. The small gate also has moderate durability. The key features include a door that can be opened and closed by interacting with the switches on all 4 corners of the doorway. It can be used interchangeably with walls, but the walkway has a gap in the middle. The door access will allow people to just sprint in and out without slowing down as long as the doors are already open. It should be used in areas where people are expected to come and go during the supplying phase, but is often not necessary for extraction. Next up we have the large gate, and this costs 500 ore, and you can place down a total of 4 large gates. And the durability for the large gate is high, which means it has more health and it can take more hits compared to other building pieces. It's double the length of the small gate, but it also takes a longer time to open and close. It has some value as a wall replacement, effectively serving as a double length wall. This has the advantage of having more durability and more convenient to repair over regular walls, but it has some drawbacks that may cause problems. While it does have more health, it comes with double the surface area, which means it can take a lot more damage quicker. While it is more convenient to repair, it is harder to repair when getting swarmed, as all bugs along the entire length will hinder the repair process. Next up we have the bunker, which costs 1500 ore, and you'll be able to place down a total of 4 of them. The durability for this is very high, As a matter of fact, it has the highest durability out of all building pieces in the game. The key features include excellent visibility all around the bunker, while providing strong safety, makes it an easy cornerstone and rally point for a defense. It's a versatile component but comes with the restriction of only having 4, and the bunker is going to be the core of a critical defense, and it also has some interesting interactions with other types of defenses. Bugs will not run into bunkers, so they will provide a safe haven in the event of a breach. Next up we have short walls, which have low durability. Short walls are going to cost 50 ore. You can place down a total of 30, and it has low durability. They can fit in weird spaces and can be placed on top of walls and bunkers, and they also have a small window at crouch height for shooting through. Short walls can be placed on top of bunkers to provide snipers and grenadiers safety from being sniped by gunner bugs. They're short enough that if you have any elevation, you'll have line of sight to deal with bugs right up against them. And while their durability may seem poor, their size means that they are often only attacked by one bug at a time. Next up we have electric fences. The electric fence costs 4,000 ore, and you can place down a total of 4. It also has low durability. Electric fences damage and stun enemies with excellent visibility. It's a really expensive and limited component that has a really strong value if used effectively. While it does have low durability, it makes up for it by stunning and damaging bugs that are attacking it, allowing them to last much longer than their durability implies, especially since people can shoot through them to clean up nearby bugs. And we'll show examples of how you can use short walls and electric fences a little bit later. We also have towers, which cost 200 ore, and you can place down a total of 8 of them. They have moderate damage, and it's a raised platform with some cover. It provides good altitude to deal with slopes. It provides a good point for people to shoot from, and it can also be used as a ladder to climb up and jump down to reach the top of a bunker or wall. And last up we have the Sentry, and that costs 4,000 ore, and you'll only be able to place down 4 of them. It has moderate damage, and it's an automated turret that does decent damage and will fire at enemies in a good radius. Like electric fences, it's another expensive and limited component. While it isn't particularly strong, it is extra firepower that never has to reload or refill on ammo. It has a very large range but requires a line of sight, so it needs to be placed correctly to be a good value. So that's sort of like a quick introduction for each of the pieces that you can place down. And we'll show like different ways you can use all of these pieces a little bit later. Next up, we're going over size and location. They provided 2 images in this guide. So let's take this image for example. You can see you got the base in the blue, and you have the arc in the yellow square, and the black squares are going to be terrain where you can't build. The red arrows indicate the direction the bugs will be coming from. So it says in the north entrance there is little that can be done, and wherever you draw a defensive line you're going to need a span of walls. In the south entrance, the 2 entrances will eventually intersect, so a decision can be made there to either handle the entrances separately or to have the defensive line be after the point where both groups have merged. From this you can draw a basic critical defensive line of where you want the fight to happen. If you were to simply cover the entrances by the build zone, you would end up with a massive base and significantly more length of walls. So in this example, you can see they built the green line of walls towards the north of the arc, and they also built an L-shaped line of walls towards the south. This would be considered more of a critical defensive build. In the next one we have the base brawl, which is probably what you see more often and is what people usually do with layered defenses. They'll build walls along the edges. Next thing they went over was enemy pathing, and in this first image this is more of a critical defense type of build. This dark yellow square at the bottom is the arc, which is what you have to defend. This green line you see here are walls that you'll have placed to defend your arc. This dark blue square is a bunker, and these red arrows indicate where the bugs are going to be coming from and where they're going to be going to. So if the arc is here and this is how you built around it, the orange indicates where they'll most likely attack and where they attack most often. They'll attack the walls with yellow next to them the second most, and they'll attack the walls with the light blue color the least. So this is a pretty good example of enemy pathing if you use this type of critical defense build. This next image is another critical defense build, and the colors here mean the same thing. The green lines are the walls, this dark blue square is a bunker, and here's the arc behind the walls. The red lines indicate the direction the bugs are going to be going, and in this example the walls next to the orange saw the highest intensity, resulting in a breach. Areas with yellow saw moderate action, while the areas in blue required the least attention. So how do bugs choose to attack buildings? Well, do they already have a target? Bugs that are attacking a wall will continue to do so even if another wall beside them is breached. Is someone I can attack in close proximity to me? Enemies walking past a breach will sometimes choose to attack a bunker with people in it, but are less interested in attacking a wall beside a breach. Is it in my path towards the Ark? Areas that had the least value to reach in the Ark were mostly ignored. This path seems to be semi-random or sticky, as bugs will sometimes choose to break other sections of walls instead of taking an open breach, while others will choose to run past it. Is there enough space for me to attack it? Bugs will avoid clipping into each other to attack a component, which is why bunkers get surrounded. What is the next closest surface for me to attack that will get me closer to the Ark? Bugs have been observed to avoid running backwards and would try to fan out to attack other components if there is none. Will choose to pile up behind other bugs. Based on these assumptions, the position of the Ark can be used to have bugs focus on a bunker or wall. Kill boxes should be designed relative to the path towards the Ark. Next up, we're going to go over how to design walls. Knowing where to build only covers a portion of a reliable defense. If you were to simply build a span of walls, you will eventually run into difficulty, as walls are not the easiest things to defend. There is a blind spot when it comes to regular walls, right under the walls. Like in this picture, for example, if there are bugs at the bottom of this wall attacking it, it's kind of hard to see from where you're standing. Let's say in the corner of the map you choose to use an outward corner, which is just putting walls along the edge, like in this example. Outward corners are corners that have two sides facing outwards. These are a little bit harder to defend because people have to move between each side to assist each other. It also creates an additional problem of splitting up enemy clusters, making explosives less effective. You could also use an inward corner, and that's where instead of building a wall along the outer edge, you just build a wall inwards. Inward corners are the cornerstone of a kill box. There are two walls with the exterior wall facing inwards. This provides a natural clustering area between the two walls while providing a person the visibility to the area underneath the other wall without movement. Next up, we're going to go over large areas and what to do with them. Large lengths of areas can be difficult to deal with, and there are locations where you have no real choice but to have a span of 3 or more walls no matter what you do. Applying the principles of inward corners, it would be preferential to pull the walls inward by some amount. However, there are things to consider. Blocked terrain can be considered as a free inward corner wall, as they do not need repairs, but they might block your line of sight. The further you pull the walls back though, the further enemies will be traveling to reach your front facing walls, giving you more time to shoot them down before they start damaging the walls. The further you pull the walls back, more components are used and the length of the wall increases, impacting repairing. So in this example, you have the terrain in the black squares where you can't build. The green line are walls that you built, and as you see in this example, we built it along the outer edge. You don't have as much time to kill them in this particular example compared to the next image, where if you bring the wall back a full square and then have a wall on each side, it sort of gives your team a little bit more time to kill them before they start damaging your walls. Using large gates as walls. Large gates can be used to fill in as a double wide wall. They currently do not serve any special function, so they can be used with little reservation. So in this example, the dark green line is the large gate, the light green line is the regular wall, and this dark blue square is the bunker. By having a bunker in between two large gates, a length of 5 can be created that only requires running the length of a bunker to maintain both sides of the wall. Ensure that the path to the Ark is behind this wall to reduce the intensity of attacks on the side walls. So it does sort of matter like where the Ark is relative to where you build your bunker and your walls. But the benefit of using this type of build is that you can repair both large gates from inside the bunker. Alright, next up we're going to go over different types of bunkers. The first one is the regular bunker, where you have walls along the outer edge and then a bunker at the outer edge as well. While it is serviceable, it still has decent visibility around the corner. It doesn't have clear visibility down the length of the wall. Using it this way, it's most likely just a very strong wall and doesn't take full advantage of the bunker's strengths. Another popular one is the blocking bunker. So again, the black squares are blocked terrain where you can't build, and a lot of times you'll see people just throw a bunker in between there, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. Definitely the easiest solution to blocking off a corridor is to just drop a single bunker in the way. It's beefy, it provides a good position to shoot from without having to worry about a low ceiling. Try to pull the defenses back, as it only takes advantage of the bunker's beefy health and not its line of sight. You can place it in between this block terrain if you have to, but you could avoid having to use this strategy by merging this entrance with this entrance down here. So let's go ahead and show an example of that. If we were to push it back, we would have what's called a forward bunker. So instead of having it in between the block terrain, like most people do, we pull it back a little bit, take advantage of the extra visibility that the bunker provides, and building it this way provides a strong position to rally at. It can take a beating from multiple sides and will be a staging ground for mounting an even stronger defense. Placed protruding from a wall, half or full wall, it has full visibility to the areas around the walls on any side, between the ability to mop up enemies under the wall, and it usually being the priority target by being forward. A well-placed bunker will take a lot of heat off the surrounding walls. We also have the half forward bunker, and this is very similar to a forward bunker, but it has half a length less exposed surface area. So in this example, the bugs aren't going to be able to attack these sides of the walls because you have the wall aligned here. So the bugs aren't going to be able to damage these parts of your bunker, but the line of sight along the walls will be obstructed. So people will need to be further in the bunker and can cause problems of people getting hit through the windows or crowding. So if you do it this way, most of the people are going to have to bunch up in the top in order to deal damage along the walls. So yeah, that's the half forward bunker. And there's also a secret entrance bunker. And this is the one where you build a wall next to the entrance of a bunker. And this is basically a half forward bunker with the doorway split in half by a wall. It has the special application of replacing a corner and makes a use of a whole 360 of the bunker, as well as a quick but somewhat expensive exit past the wall. So if you do build this, you can get in and out of the bunker this way. So those are the different types of bunkers you can build. You're definitely going to want to try to avoid placing walls directly in front of your bunker whenever possible. It pretty much makes your bunker useless until that wall is destroyed. So before we move forward, if you made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back. You deserve it. And we're about to go over some really good tips here. But before we do, if y'all are finding this video useful, be sure to drop a like. Also, let me know if you would like to see some more Starship Trooper content. So we do have a couple tips in regards to short walls. They can be placed on top of walls and bunkers. While their placement on walls is very awkward, they can be placed around the center of the bunker's roof. This allows the bunker to act as a larger but shorter tower, giving a great position for snipers and grenadiers to not only deal with distant targets, but enemies along the walls. Being out in the open on top of a bunker is risky, as gunner bugs can easily snipe you from large distances, but with how cheap short walls are, and how often they are underutilized, having one or two on a roof is a small investment to open up a safe platform to shoot from. Short walls can also be placed into the quarter length spaces, unlike other large wall components that can only snap into half spaces. This allows short walls to be placed very closely in front of electric fences, where the bugs attacking the short walls can get stunned by the electric fences right behind them, allowing you to prolong the low physical durability of the electric fences, as bugs will need to break the short walls first before being able to attack the electric fence behind it. However, this is a very expensive setup, and the short walls will be difficult to repair as you can't scale electric fences. So you won't be able to jump over electric fences to repair these. When it comes to towers, you can use them as sniping platforms. They're much higher elevation than anything else, and that allows them to shoot over walls at distant targets, but they are still better if they can be close up rather than further behind. So you're still going to want to try to put it a little bit closer to the edge. These are quite difficult to really make poor use of. They just need to be placed in a decent location where they have a good view of the approaching enemies. You can also use these to access higher elevation points without the need for a ramp wall, and they can also be used to jump over electric fences and awkward terrain. Sentries should be built along bunkers where they can remain quite safe thanks to the bunker soaking up most of the attention. They can either be fitted into the side, corner, or center of the bunker. They can be easily repaired from inside or on top of the bunker, and if your bunkers are up in the front, these sentries will see plenty of action and slowly rack up damage throughout the entire mission. If you're going to build it into the side of a bunker instead of the middle, it's best placed on the side towards a receded wall. Sentries in this position will have clear shots on enemies attacking the walls. They do take a bit of damage, but as enemies will be divided up between attacking the walls and the bunker, they aren't actively attacked unless the bunker goes down. The support pillar will obstruct the window of the bunker, which might be annoying to some people as well. So those are some of the pros and cons of putting the sentry on the side of a bunker next to a wall. If you build it into the center, the supporting pillar doesn't block the windows and the sentry will remain untouched until the bunker is broken. So it is going to be safer in the center. However, it will have blind spots in the center around the bunker and can be affected by the presence of short walls on the roof. So yeah, those are some things you want to consider when placing down the sentries inside your bunker. So looking back at the example we showed earlier, looks like we added some more pieces to our base. So again, here's the arc which we're trying to defend. This black area is blocked terrain that we can't build on. This blue square is the bunker. We have a red square inside of it, which is the sentry. We also have a tower directly outside of it in order to easily get on top of it and on top of the terrain. On this side, we just have a wall, tower, and a gate. And that's all we built for this side is a bunker, wall, gate with the 2 towers and a sentry. Down here, we started with our bunker right here, but we decided to push it back to make it a forward bunker. We added a tower as well as a gate so we can get in and out. This would be considered more of a critical defense build. So that's sort of how you built around the arc. This is the example he showed when he built around the base. So instead of building walls along the edge, he pulled them in and put them behind the bunker right here. You see the bunker, we have the sentry in this location. We added another wall here and another bunker out here with the wall covering the base. We also have a sentry and a tower on this bunker as well. But it pretty much has the same philosophy as we did on this side. And yeah, this is sort of what the final version would look like in this example. But there's also some important things I should point out when it comes to a critical defense build. Bunkers absolutely cannot be allowed to go down. If they do, they need to be repaired immediately. The walls really aren't much of an issue because you can actually repair a lot of these walls from inside the bunker. And if you need to, you can also exit the bunker and repair it and then come back. There's also perks in the game that allow you to build and repair faster. But yeah, if you have that repair speed perk equipped, you're going to want to make sure that you repair these bunkers as often as possible throughout the defense because you don't want these to go down. Walls near the bunker should be kept clean first. The bunker can take a massive beating, and as long as the bunker isn't near destruction, enemies in the kill box should take priority, as a lot of heat can be taken off both the wall and bunker with explosives. So that's sort of another thing that's necessary for this build. You're going to need a couple people with at least grenade launchers or rocket launchers, or deal some type of AoE damage to take out the large groups that bunch up. Grenadier bugs need to be handled swiftly since a lot of people will be concentrated in a smaller area, but that's true whether you're using this build or a different type of build. You should always try to take grenadiers out quickly. Each bunker should try to have at least 2 people on standby so that one can repair while another cleans up bugs. Everyone else can pile on where their main enemy spawn is coming from. So you're going to want to have at least 2 people at each bunker, at least. Preferably one with like a rocket launcher and another one with the quick repair tool. Ammo boxes should be placed in or near the bunkers. These bunkers are going to be placed at key areas where a lot of action happens. And honestly, a lot of people do that already, but that will make it a little bit easier for people who have a hard time finding ammo. Make sure you just place one in each of the bunkers, and that'll make it easier for everybody to find it. Enemies can deal damage to you even if you are in the bunker if you're standing all the way up near the window. So you should try to avoid doing that. Same thing is true if you walk really close to a wall. Sometimes they can clip through the wall and damage you that way. So you're going to want to try to avoid doing that whenever possible, because when it comes to things like tigers, they can pretty much one-shot you, especially in the harder difficulties. But yeah, the main priority with this type of build is obviously kill the bugs when they group up, but also repair the bunkers and keep them healthy. So this is sort of a good example of a critical defense build. But normally what we end up seeing in lobbies is this. And I can't even say anything bad about it because I've seen it work. In this example, I tried to do a critical defense type of build. I ran away to get some ore. And when I came back, apparently one of my teammates saw we didn't build on every single piece. And they said, "It's free real estate." And we ended up with this, but we ended up beating the mission. So can the layered defense work? Yes. It requires less coordination. It's very easy to do. You just spam walls everywhere. But critical defense builds can also work. It just requires, and I hate to say this, it just requires everybody to do their part. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, the layered defense isn't the only defense you can do when it comes to Starship Troopers. A couple other things I want to point out before I go. You can dramatically decrease your repair time by using the repair speed perk. If you have it equipped, the short wall is only going to take half a second to repair, large walls 1 second, small gates like 3/4 seconds. Large gate is 2.5 seconds. The bunker is only 4 seconds if you have the repair speed perk. Towers are 1.5 seconds. The electric fence is 0.5 second, and the sentry is 1 second if you have the repair speed perk equipped. If you don't, it's going to be ×4 for each of those. So again, you're going to want to have at least one person with the repair speed perk at each of the bunkers. Otherwise, the bunkers will take like 16 seconds. So yeah, that's pretty much all the information they provided in this guide. Again, big shout out to the person who made this. I will leave a link to it in the description. I found it extremely helpful. But I also found a second guide, and this is sort of a different version of the critical defense. Obviously, you have your bunker out in the front, and halfway through the bunker you have 2 walls on the side. You have short walls in front of those, and in the very front you either put sensor or shock beacons. I would strongly recommend using sensors because it's really good for letting other players know where the action is. Shock beacons are also really useful. I wouldn't recommend putting the sentry gun in the walls. I would say put that either in the side of the bunker or the middle because the bunker has more health. But yeah, this is sort of a different version of the critical defense that I came across recently. Just keep in mind, you're going to need people repairing bunkers. You're going to need people with rocket launchers clearing up the large groups. But yeah, this is sort of a different version I found that you may also want to try out. And again, I'll leave a link to this guide in the description as well. But yeah, that sums up all the tips I have for this one. Be sure to drop a like if you found the video useful. Also, let me know if you would like to see more tips in regards to Starship Troopers. Anyways, that'll do it for this one. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.